Hello everyone watching and listening to this podcast. As of right now, you may notice that there is something going on in the world that isn't just affecting me or you, but is affecting everyone around the world. The thing about this is that it can affect someone in a different way than it would to others. You most likely know what this something is, but if you don't know, or you might have a clue yet, today's podcast will be about the Covid-19 and the effects it's having to everyone around the world. In this podcast, you will hear and find out about information that I do know about the virus and my personal experiences with it and the best ways to stay protected from getting it. So with that being said, earlier this year, many people may have thought this virus was a joke, and many people may have not been taking it seriously, which is still kind of the problem right now. You'd think that they would start taking it more seriously once death rates started getting higher, or more people started to get the virus. I say this because, as of right now, I'm doing this assignment back home instead of on campus at NDSU. And driving back, I was seeing a lot more people coming outside and not following the simple rules as to stay quarantined and keep your distance. The thing that caught my attention most, which shows that people were not taking this as seriously as they should, is that I was seeing videos all over social media of new challenges that people are doing to show that they won't get sick, or in other words, they're just making fun of the virus. The challenge eventually ended once people began to get really sick, and one of the girls who started the challenge actually caught the virus and had to be hospitalized. She eventually went on her Instagram and told people that this is not a joke, and she apologizes for not taking it serious herself. I won't lie, I was one of those people who thought that this virus wasn't that serious, until I started to see the effect it was having on everyone across the world. 2 days after winning the Summit League basketball tournament, I remember waking up to probably one of the most shocking news that started a huge effect nationally that caught more people's attention about the virus. On May 11th of this year, the NBA postponed the rest of the season due to multiple players catching the virus and not wanting the virus to spread. I saw one of the videos of All-Star Rudy Gobert, who is a player of the Utah Jazz, mock the virus before getting tested and touched everything around him. It was fake coughing everywhere until later on finding out he did indeed have the virus and gave it to a teammate. It started off as just him feeling a little sick and thought it would have just been cold. But during his interview in a room full of reporters, he was making jokes and mocking it by touching the microphone, and after going to a locker room, touching and coughing on all his teammates' jerseys. The video showed how careless he was about the virus and not taking it seriously, allowing him to affect him and people around him. After he found out the results came back positive, he then apologized through the media, posting on his Instagram saying, "I was careless and making no excuses. I hope my story serves as a warning and causes everyone to take this situation very seriously." The reason this started to affect not only me, but the people around me is because once the NBA was postponed, a lot of high sports organizations followed, saying it's too high of a risk to take for players and fans. Due to the virus, it ended a lot of sports seasons early, canceling all sports in the spring of 2020. My season was done early, right before our chance to play in the huge NCAA tournament, and we get to participate in if we won the Summit League tournament, which we did. This bothered not just me, but all of the other teams that participated and can no longer play this year. It was like once the mainstream sports networks started to cancel, then almost everything started to close down and cancel along with it. A major change that affected people all over was that schools and colleges were closing down because of this. People were getting sent home early or was being asked to stay off campus in order to make sure nothing else is spreading and to keep the situation as calm as possible. The closing of the schools may have affected others because for the seniors or people who was heading towards the end of graduating, is now canceled as well. I'm not saying that people won't graduate, because that's not the case at all. But the graduation ceremony will no longer be taking place not just at NDSU, but at colleges all over. The effect that this has on students can be pretty rough. Not just because schools and campuses are getting closed down, because that doesn't mean classes are over, but because now all the online classes and all the classes that were online will be switched through online Zoom meetings and everything like that, which could be both a positive and negative effect to others and to students who are in class. Speaking of schools closing down, it made me think about how the people who work for schools or get paid to do things for school, the virus is also affecting people's work life and jobs that helps provide themselves and family. With everything shutting down, it causes people to lose their jobs and start finding a new way to live. For example, with the NBA closing down, all the workers and janitors for the building will not be getting paid now. With many of the players finding out about this, they want to try to take matters to their own hand and help them provide getting their money and help pay the staff getting their pay of what they should be making. Many states all over are starting to take matters into their own hands by doing what they believe is best to keep people safe from getting the virus. I know that here in Minnesota, the fast food in any restaurant that you can eat and conversate in is being closed down until further notice, keeping as much separation from people as possible. So if the restaurant is picked up or delivered or have a drive-through, it should be fine. It seems to be that almost everywhere in the world right now is at least going to social distance to keep people away from each other and to prevent anyone catching the virus. I started to see all on the news and social media announcements about outside events and trips and entertainment. Things like cruises and trips are getting canceled. Airlines, airports are closing down, including states and other countries. CNN said that earlier last month, Italy went on a complete shutdown, not allowing anyone to come in or out of the country. That's not the only thing that was shutting down. Towards the end of last month, all beaches in Panama, Florida were also being shut down on March 20th through the 26th for at least that week, and asking people to please go home, according to spokeswoman Debbie Ward, who told CNN. Here in Minnesota, I got news that they are also shutting down all pools for the rest of the summer, even closing down the popular Minnesota State Fair, says Governor Walz, and to prepare for further instructions. The effect that this COVID-19 is doing to people is costing people who have their jobs and make their money from food stands and things like that from like the state fair or the beaches are losing a lot of their money. I believe that if people was to follow the rules and safety procedures, that this will be heading towards the right direction. But instead of keeping our distance and listening to what the professionals are telling us to do, we're not doing anything but extending the problem and allowing more things to close down. The other day, when going to get groceries from the store, they wasn't allowing nobody to walk in without a mask on their face, which I feel like was the best thing I've seen so far, because now I can see that more people are starting to take this more seriously after they can see the effect and cause that it's doing to people all over the community. The best thing that we could do is possibly to stay together as a whole is follow what we're being told. The things that are taking place right now will be the best thing I could think of, is which is staying inside and away from multiple people. Stay inside as much as possible and keeping your social distance strong. Making sure we keep our hand and body clean and to stay away from rubbing our face and hands. Cover your mouth when sneezing or coughing, and wear protection if going to go get materials like the grocery store. We should start taking this seriously and listen to what people has to say and keep us updated on the follow-ups of what can happen next. As of right now, I'm following and listening to Governor Walz, who is the governor of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm listening to his instructions on being separate and being aware of our surroundings. As of right now, where I am at the state of Minnesota, has a total of 5,136 cases of this virus, which may seem like a lot, but the positive thing is taking place about this is that so far already 2,172 of those people has recovered from this, says the City of Minneapolis COVID dashboard, which gives us complete updates every 24 hours. And I believe that the recovery was coming from following those simple directions, which is staying away, staying distant, and keeping your hands and body clean. Remember that we are in this together. As long as we keep making these positive improvements from the epidemic by listening to what we are told, we should keep following and listening to directions from experts and doctors on the news who gives us information on what to do.